volleyball, I want to welcome you guys a special guest of mine, Niklin, who is a setter for Nebraska. Take it away, Tipton.
Well, Niklin, thank you for taking time to meet with us and talk to their fans a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm more excited than Sami. She's been talking about this for weeks in the office, so it's reunion time. But first of all, before we get into the big prediction part, I want to ask you just a couple questions. You know, state tournament for us is a big deal, and memories for a lot of kids, athletes, that this will be it for them, right? And so part of our coverage is to make this as big of a deal as possible. Do you have memories, your prep career, postseason memories, state tournament memories that you want to share?
Yeah, so I kind of had a little bit of a different experience in in the high school level because I got to play when I was in 8th grade because we didn't have a middle school volleyball team. So I went to a private school, so they let me move up and play my 8th grade year. And we ended up winning that year. And I think that was the most special thing for me, just because I got to play and I was an outside that season. So I got to hit, I was hitting down the line. Like I was having a great time being a hitter. So I think that was really special. It was our first state championship at my high school. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, I mean, so you've played in big time matches before. How do you stay so calm and collected?
Yeah, I just kind of trust my training, my instincts, and just go out there and compete. I've found that when I think about the game too much, I get in my head a lot. So I just try to go out there and compete and have a lot of fun and kind of remember my joy and love for the game.
That's apparent as just a spectator watching you these years. Talk about, we always try and promote athletes that appear to have great attitudes and be energy givers. It seems like that's a key to your game. Is it something you concentrate on? Does it come naturally? Where does that come from, just your positivity as a teammate?
Yeah, I always say my why for why I play is my teammates. They've made my career so much fun, and just the bonds that I've created, even with Sami, we go way back. Just having those bonds, it brings out this fiery nature in me. Just seeing them be successful on the court, and so I try to go into every game, trying to be the best teammate I can first, because then I think that helps my volleyball.
Let me one more to piggyback off what Sami had asked. What, you try and be calm and collective on the court. We talk to athletes sometimes that try that. Do you think it's important to play with emotion at times?
I think it is. I think emotions kind of dictate our energy on the court. If we don't really have a lot of emotions, sometimes we almost seem like we don't really care what's going on, or we're kind of just, you're not bringing energy to your teammates. So I think playing with emotions at the right time is super important. If you're super emotional throughout the game, there's a lot of highs and lows in volleyball. It's a game of errors. And if you let your emotions dictate how your play is going, I think that's where sometimes it gets challenging. So just trying to find a way to emotionally be pretty steady throughout the match, or have a little bit more emotions in certain points during it.
And then, so we kind of work with a lot of high school volleyball players, and they're always asking, how do you balance stuff in college? And I feel like there's no better person to ask than you. I mean, you balance school, volleyball, NIL deals, your social life, your dog mom. How do you balance that all?
Yeah, I was not very good at it at first. I'm going to be completely honest. My freshman year, I was way in over my head. I was like, oh, I got this. Like, it's going to be easy. I was so wrong. Just finding time in my day for everything and trying to be fully present in what I'm doing at that time. I think when you have so much on your plate and so much going on, it's so easy to be thinking about the next thing that you have to do. So I just try to be really present in the time that I'm spending, either doing my homework or doing NIL or hanging out with my friends or hanging out with my dogs. I try to be really present in that moment and make time every day. I have a pretty strict schedule, just so I can balance everything. And I think that's really helped me, because I'm a person who lives on routine and likes to know what's going on during my day. So just finding time and really being present in that moment. I think that's helped me on the volleyball court too, just being really present in each play.
You talk about your experience in high school and win that championship as an eighth grader. Talk about now the big time matches you've been in at Nebraska. Is it different? I mean, we look at sold out stadiums and playing in national championship matches as a freshman, by the way, in those big situations, do you ever pinch yourself and be like, is this real, or do you just kind of take it day by day?
Yeah. Sometimes I remember my first game at Nebraska, and I knew they had the fans and stuff, but I remember when I was running out as a freshman for my first game, I was like, oh my gosh, like I was like so nervous. Coach always jokes that freshmen pee on the floor on their first game because there's so many people here to watch the game. But I just kind of try to soak up those moments. And I think that's one of the reasons I chose to come to Nebraska, is because I knew that I would get to play in those big moments and play for championships. And I've kind of embraced it, and I've really loved playing in those moments when everything's on the line.
I actually have another question too, and there's been a lot. I've appreciated more that college athletes have started speaking out more about mental health and dealing with mental health issues, or things you guys do as a team. Talk to maybe some younger athletes about what's important to keep positive mental health, or talking with people if they struggle with that.
Yeah, I've been a huge advocate for mental health ever since I got here. I work closely with our sports psychologist, and I have done a lot of growth as a person and also as a volleyball player. And I think the main thing that I wish I knew when I was younger was finding a way to separate who I am as a volleyball player from who I am as a person. I think a lot of the times when we're so invested in something, we've spent our whole lives doing it, the wins and losses sometimes dictate how we see ourselves as a person. When I'm a lot more than just a volleyball player, I'm a dog mom, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. So just learning to separate it and understanding that volleyball is something that I do. It's something that I love to do, but it doesn't define who I am. And I'm so much more than that. And volleyball is a game that a lot of the times you really can't control. It's a game of errors, a game of momentum, and it changes. And so over my 5 years I've been here, I've really had to learn that. And I think it's led to me having a lot better positive mental health. But I would embrace the mental health journey. And I think sometimes people are nervous to talk about how they feel. And we, as athletes, we're like, we're strong, we can get through this, but understanding it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely. And is that kind of the message they give you guys as college athletes? Is it's become more like, if somebody's sitting out there and they're going to watch this message right now, is that the number one bit of advice, where to reach out for help, or just reach out and talk to somebody?
Yeah, just reach out and talk to somebody. I've had great coaches over my careers, have been pretty great advocates for mental health. And I think that's really opened the door for me and my teammates to be able to discuss those things that we're going through. But also, like, I've worked closely with my sports psychologist, and she's been amazing. Just being able to connect with me and understand the world that I'm in now with volleyball and everything. And we do a lot of different things here at Nebraska now too. We do a lot of mental training, mindfulness, and a bunch of stuff that helps our mental health. So.
All right. I just have two more. First of all, kids ask us, or athletes ask us, or Sami specifically, all the time about the process, recruiting, going through maybe what you've been through and now what you've seen on the other end. Advice to sophomores, juniors, maybe even unsigned seniors that want to play about the process. What's the best bit of advice you could give?
Yeah, it was interesting for me because I was not the best person during the recruiting process. My parents were like, you need to call that person back. And I was not very good at communicating at that age with the coaches. And I think that's a huge skill that I don't think we have a lot of nowadays, just because of our phones. We can text and we don't have to really communicate. But I would just say doing the controllable things on the volleyball court really makes you stand out. Just being that person who brings the energy, who talks, who communicates, is a great teammate. I think that really makes you stand out when you're being recruited. And I don't know, just don't be afraid to reach out to coaches, send your film. and communicate with them.
That's perfect. And I'll just end because we are lucky enough we get to interview great athletes like yourself often, and then our fan base might be watching. They're like, well, that's Niklin Hames, right? Like she never makes a mistake. It's easy for her. So tell us or our viewers about maybe an embarrassing moment or something to show that maybe even Niklin Hames makes mistakes on the volleyball court every once in a while.
Yeah, I actually love to post TikToks of bloopers of me just like getting hit in the face, trying to dig a ball, and it ends up knocking me in the face. And, you know, I think that kind of shows a different side that even if you're at the higher level, mistakes happen, and that's okay. It's just one point. And I think it's taken me a while to learn that too. Just understanding that it's a game of errors and it happens. But to kind of enjoy it and understand that it's not the end of the world, and have a little fun with it. So.
Niklin, we want to thank you so much for your time. You got a whole bunch of people in the state of South Dakota rooting for you and your Huskers. Good luck the rest of the way, and we just appreciate you taking time out for us.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really cool.